for being here. My name is Martin Groders, and today I would like to talk about the intercultural competency in Israeli and Palestinian conflict. First, let me begin by asking you this. Two people, one land, but divided. Deep spiritual and historical ties. Compelling narratives, mutual suffering. What happens when empathy disappears? Before we dive in, we should know the key concepts of cultural competency. You need to understand both across cultures, communication with empathy and respect, cultural self-awareness, and openness to multiple worldviewers. Now, today's focus is what is intercultural competency, the brief history of Israeli and Palestinian conflict, how intercultural failure fuels conflict, and paths toward intercultural understanding and peace. Now, let's dive into the history of the conflict. So, after World War I, Britain took control of the Palestinian from the Ottoman Empire under the League of Nations mandate. The region had a majority Arab population and a minority Jewish population. The Balfour Declaration signaled British support for establishing a national home for the Jewish people in Palestine. This was welcomed by many Jews, especially those fleeing persecution in Europe. Between the 1920s and 1940s, Jewish immigration to the Palestine increased, especially during and after the Holocaust. By 1947, Jews made about 30% of the population. This year, the UN proposed a partition plan to divide Palestine into separate Jewish and Arab states. The Jewish leadership accepted the plan. The Arab world rejected it, arguing it gave more land to a smaller population that disregarded Arab history and identity. When Israel declared independence in 1948, it was immediately invaded by 5 Arab nations. By the end of the war, Israel controlled most of the land, Egypt controlled Gaza, and Jordan held the west. As you can see on my thing, Palestine has now become very much smaller and has been taken up. $750,000 Palestinians were displaced. Jewish refugees also flee Arab countries. And then when Israel declared independence, there was a war, and then Nakba, also catastrophe happened. Now, what was the intercultural incompetency in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? They had no mutual recognition. There were sacred sites, Jerusalem, so they caused a lot of tension with religion. Stereotypes and propaganda fueled hate, so social media and everyone just telling one side of the story. International peace efforts often ignore cultural context. Denial of each other's identity deepens conflict. Cultural misunderstanding prolongs violence. Human suffering continues on both sides. And the consequences of incompetency: misunderstanding leads to division. Division leads to walls, and walls lead to violence. Now, someone might ask, how can we be culturally competent? Well, here are some ways. And cultural competency is the ability to understand, respect, and interact effectively with people from diverse cultural backgrounds. First, we can educate, teach both narratives in schools, and use dialogue, support grassroots, peace building. Second, media, promote human-centered storytelling. Policy, cultural-informed diplomacy. Lastly, conflict is about more than land. It's about identity. And and recognition. Intercultural competency builds bridges, not walls. Lasting peace requires both political strategy and cultural understanding. Thank you so much for listening to my presentation. That is all.